Good morning. Just a few moments late. Let me get our music started. Okay, while you guys come in. Hope you all had a good weekend. Oh, I'm gonna go grab my book. I needed the music. I needed this music today. You know, it's one of those days where, like, man, one of those days. Oh, okay, so let's see. Let's get this ball rolling. Good morning, good morning. Now that we've got, let me turn the music up just a touch because I can't even hear it on my own. Oh, that's better. Late shower, late getting started. Came in and the internet wasn't working. Yes, Kristen, you can get a card pull. Good morning. Okay, so that fills out our card pull slots. Big announcements for this week are, what are you doing on Saturday? And I hope it involves coming to the HP Fair because it's Saturday. If you are one of our practitioners and you haven't gotten your paperwork in, you know, unless you talk to Shauna, we're not going to be planning for space for you. So just putting that out there. And if you can't come to the show, but you know people who are in the Portland area, not show, but fair, and you know people who are in the Portland area, let them know. In McMinnville, Salem, let them know. Spread the word. Help us get the fair word out there. And I know that a lot of you guys are going to be showing up to the fair, and it'll be my first time meeting you, maybe first time really being able to interact with you, so I'm super excited about that. And what else do we have going on? Lunch at Jesse's is July 1st. Tickets are still available for that. And I think that's really it for right now. We're mostly just in getting ready for fair mode. Now, I kind of had a little bit of a plan for today, but I also kind of took away Q&A Friday last week. So I thought today what we could do is it can be if you guys had any questions about all of what we were working on last week, or want to talk about where it came up or how it came up for you, now is a great time to do that while I start doing the card pulls. Good morning, Terrell. And share with us all what your story is, because that's part of what's so awesome about this community is how we all are on this path together. And it's like we just keep finding these little nuggets of awesomeness, forest nuggets, right, Shauna? That just make it all awesome. Even if you don't want to eat the nugget, you still are like, oh, wow, I found it. We were having dinner at Shauna's. I made beef stroganoff. And I love mushrooms. Like, I could eat mushrooms. Like, if I just had mushrooms to survive on, I would be okay. With butter. Mushrooms with garlic and butter. Mushrooms with garlic and butter and maybe a little bit of herbs. And then I would be all set, I swear. Shauna likes the flavor of them cooked, but not eating them exactly. I know, right, Kristen? Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so our first card pulls for Terrell. Let's see. So yes, Q&A. If you guys have any questions, now's the time. Throw them out there. Talk about what your experience in starting to harness your manifestor being is. Ooh, Terrell. The Phoenix cards want to talk to you. I don't think they've talked to you yet. This is by Susan Shepard. This is the Phoenix deck. You know, a funny, quick little backstory on the Phoenix deck for me is, I just saw my phone and realized I didn't turn it off, and I hate my phone to ring while I'm mid-show, so 1 second. The Phoenix deck, when I was a girl, my mother, she spent a good portion of my childhood, right? Those forest nuggets were good. Reading tarot cards. She read tarot cards professionally for probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. But, she always had a deck out, and always had a deck. And I started being curious about them very young, and she had a lot of ideas about, when it was acceptable or when it was a good time. And it's kind of funny, actually, because as a parent myself, when your child starts doing divination and channeling and oracleship, there's a certain part of you that's like, whoa, wait a minute. Don't rob yourself of the experience of the living, right? Don't get lost in the cards. Don't get lost in the deck. So my mom was really particular about what kind of cards she'd let me work with. Hi, Shauna. I was just talking about you. And so anyway, she was really particular about it, and she didn't want me to have a full tarot deck. I had to buy whatever I wanted anyway, so I worked from pretty young, and but she really discouraged me. So one of the very first decks I ever bought in my whole life, this was back in the 80s, and I think, God, I couldn't have been I was probably 10 or 11. And I had used my babysitting money. I was 11. I had to have been 11 because I used my babysitting money. And I bought the Phoenix cards, this deck of Phoenix cards. You'll just have to watch it from the beginning if you want to know all the things I said about you. Anyway, so when I first got them, I was young. And I had no idea really what my life would have in store for me, or what kind of energies or power I'd work with, And this deck is mighty, mighty. And so it actually ended up, I gave it away. I think I gave it away in my teens because I just knew there was no way, I was nowhere near ready to use this deck. And then about 10 years, 15 years ago, now I ended up buying many other decks. I used the Zen Tarot for a long time. I loved that deck. The next deck that I really connected in with was called the Alchemical Tarot. Love that deck. If you're somebody who has a more scientific, physiological base approach towards understanding energy, magnetics, the physics of living, the Alchemical deck is a great option. It doesn't have as much of the story. It's more about the symbology and the energy and frequency. Anyway, so I was at Goodwill and I found this Phoenix deck, and I was blown away, and I had to buy it, and it was the best thing I ever bought from Goodwill. Honestly, it was the best $1.50 I've ever spent. But you can't really hardly even find these anymore. So check out Goodwill. Maybe you'll find them there, because a lot of people bought them and weren't prepared for what these decks are for, or what they do. So this one's for Terrell. Oh, that's a beautiful card. We haven't seen this one. And this is another thing, Terrell, because I know you're kind of new to my work. Especially with these kind of cards, I don't actually go through the deck and look at everything. There are cards in this deck I have never seen because they haven't been pulled for anybody. I love to acquaint myself that way. The book has a lot in it. There's page after page. So I'm going to pick some things from here because I know you probably haven't seen me read one of these yet. I'm going to pick some things from the book, and then what I will do at the end of the show is I will take a picture of the card and a picture of the pages in the book, and I will post that in the HP group so that you can read the whole thing. Okay, so this is the card that you got. It's number 26, excuse me. Let me check that. I do know Roman numerals, and it's backwards for you guys. I'm dyslexic, so yeah, it's 26. So I could very well just not even notice that it's turned around. This is the Asante Sacred Stool. The symbol you've chosen is a sacred stool crafted by the Asante people of Africa. The sacred stool was a symbol of ancestor worship and was believed to have been dropped by the heavens, from the heavens by, if I butcher this name, forgive me please, Nyankopon, the supreme god of the Asante. People were not permitted to sit on the stool as it was far too holy. Chiefs would sometimes give the impression of resting on it at religious ceremonies, but attendants would really hold them up with their fingers a few inches above the highly polished seat. Even the most awesome chiefs feared to disturb the spirits that rested inside the stool. A sacred stool later came to represent the Asante as a nation separate from other African peoples, as well as the spirits of the tribe. Although there are many different sacred stools among the Asante, the original golden one is thought to still exist hidden somewhere for safekeeping. Let's see. Some of the animals that you might find yourself drawn to are frogs, parrots, crows, bats, and moles. Let's see. If you have chosen the Asante sacred stool as a past life symbol, you are proud, cultivated, and dignified. You radiate a regal appearance. Yes, you do. And have an aura of confidence and assurance that you carry with you. Although you may be small in stature, which you so are not, you will give the impression that you are much taller than you really are, and you do. There's a sense of royalty about you, and it's not that you feel superior to others. You're a person of great character, and you know it. You dislike lying, cheating, or anything that might be considered dishonest. Even as a child, you would not follow others for the sake of belonging, especially when other children engaged in scapegoating. Although you believe you are important, you would never turn your back on another. You often stand up for the underdog. You have a special light about you, and you're willing to share it with others. All of these things I found in the few moments that I got to interact with you is very true. And you're in good company. Your personality is ruled by the sun. Like the sun, you feel most comfortable at the center of things. Astrologically, the sun is similar to the chief of a tribe. You tend to be a natural leader, but never in a loud, boisterous, or demanding way. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Wendy. You're actually reserved, but often you end up running things, even when you resist the idea. After you've given in, you usually do enjoy the limelight. You always aspire to a higher state of being. Though you seek devotion, you will not take kindly to demands. Your most positive trait is courage. You're not easily intimidated, and when you see something that's unjust, you're the first person to point it out. This may give you a bad reputation for being blunt, but you have such a warmth and honesty about you that people usually grow to admire your straightforwardness. I find this is also, yeah, that was spot on, Shauna's reading too, for sure. Okay, so I find this to be true of a lot of us here in this group. That's one of the reasons that I felt so driven to create a space for people that are like us, because it's important for us to find our tribe, our community of other leaders and chieftains that can show up in our strength, can show up here in our fullness of self, with our full confidence, and it not be mistaken as ego. We recognize that we can't make demands of each other, yet we support each other so much in everything that we do and all the different ways that we grow and working. So this is something you come by. Here's another piece. Because you're romantic and sensitive to the beauty of the world, you may collect exquisite objects and have a golden or warm tone. You can wear usual colors. I'll put that up. You're usually unusually clever with your hands and enjoy working with solid things. Among one of your past lives is the Asante of Ghana. Oh, I have to say, some of my favorite people that I have met along the way, like truly just lovely, amazing people, are the Ghanaians. They're like just beautiful, amazing people. They are the most loving, the most generous of spirit. I'd have to say I love Ghana. I can't wait to go there someday. It's one on my list. It's made you a rich person in sympathy, and you have a strong sense of self that you still can identify with the plight of others. When a person deserves your affection, you will be exceptionally adoring mate. You're a balanced person with more than a little wisdom to share. So also recognize that too, this is just popping up for me. to share with you is that because you have this predisposition, this tendency built in into your genetics, you could say, written in by your soul, right? The other lives spent in that space have brought that in fully for you. So know that that's also going to drive you, and be aware of it when you're making choices and decisions. One of the things, I know that you're younger, so you're really building your path and building your way out there. Good morning, Alex. And a piece of that is learning discernment. Not everyone is going to hold the sacredness of what you bring forward, the generosity, the lovingness, the compassion, the sensitivity. Most people don't take that as a sacred thing. In fact, it can often, in many circles and with some individuals, be taken as a weakness, and it can be the thing that gets you isolated and discriminated in the group. So one of the things that's an important thing about for you to learn in this lifetime is discernment too. And I had to learn this as well. This is maybe I'm mostly speaking to myself, but discernment is a critical component in how we share all of these gifts that we bring in with ourselves. And it's not because it's a deeming of worth or value of the others. It has nothing to do with it. It does have to do with recognizing the worth and the value of the self. And just like they knew, the stool was not something for them to sit on. It was a tool and a representation, and it was of great value, and it was used in a sacred way. So that's one of the things that we have to recognize about ourselves, is that we have to hold our lives, our homes, our families, our relationships in a sacred way. And when it's not working in that way, well, the universe offers options. So let's see, the next card pull was for Sue, and the Energy Oracle want to talk to you, Sue. I don't know about you guys, but I've been having a lot of visiting angelics lately. Their energy, you can always tell when it comes in, because it feels like a pressure, just like when you're going up over a mountain pass, or coming down from the airplane, right? Like it's this pressure in the ear and a gentle touch. Lots of that energy coming through right now. And of course, what are angelics? They're just the archetypal energies. They're the more whole frequencies, closer to the full resonance of the source frequency. They're us, right? Our wholest of us, our isness. Okay, Sue. Oh, beautiful. After the last card, oh God. I need this card today. I needed this card today. We've gotten this card a couple of times recently, and I do believe it's because, it's where we're at, man. Here comes the sun, right? Here comes the sun. The sun, new beginnings and great creativity. The sun brings blessings to the earth, and this card portends blessings in your own life, as well as in your own life as well. I think every time I read it that way. Just as the sun nurtures the earth, bringing new life in the spring and summer, this is your time for a new beginning, the onset of a nurturing new light in your life, the light of divine inspiration and personal growth. Let's just breathe that in for a minute. Right? Sue, if you feel like it, you can just lift that hand and send that light, that energy that's flowing through your left hand into the collective, into the group, into this morning oasis, like the sun in the oasis. Make sure you put like a bubble of protection around your phone and acclimate your phone to the energy, by the way, or whatever you're watching this on. This card often marks a time of great creativity, bringing the culmination of important new projects, such as the birth of a baby or the writing or publication of a book, or even the birth of a new you. Now is the time to put your energy into expressing your truth and vision. Visualize the light of divine love pouring into your heart and mind like the rays of the sun, bringing inspiration, growth, and abundant blessings. See the future you want to create and know the sun is shining on your intentions now. I have an idea that I'm going to just propose. I think, I know I'm feeling it. My hand is definitely buzzing as well. I can feel that many of you guys are starting to just feel a little something. Maybe it feels a little bit like your hand might be falling asleep. So everybody just take a moment and imagine that you have a golden ball around your phone or your device, and we're not going to aim it right at the device, but at a space just to the side of the device. And that space we're going to imagine is like a sun in the center of our group, of all of us, wherever we are. We're really together in a great big group. So let's just take a moment and let's shine. Yeah, I know, Shauna. You're the first, you were my first cue about this, by the way, love. So just shine that light into the center. Let's just take a moment and do that. Feel how that light is shining back on you as the sun grows, as we all send our love and light into it. Breathe it in. And just imagine that the sun is rising as it grows. And now it's shining not just on us here in this oasis, but it's shining down on all of the world. And take one of your hands and put that hand on your stomach, right where your solar plex would be, your sun. And flow the energy into your sun, into that light inside. Stretch and flex that back out. Felt awesome. Very good. Okay, we've got one more card pull left. And remember, the sun is going to be shining on you all day long. And anytime you feel like you need to, you can just reach your palm out and feel that light. Let it flow. It'll be good, I promise, as the crow flies right by. Thank you, Sue. Had you not asked for a card pull, we would not have pulled the sun. You summoned that forth for us. Kristen, what do you have for all of us? The dreams of Gaia. Tarot, 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 tarot. This is by Raven Felon. I love this tarot deck. It's she not only did she make her own, version of the tarot, but she redid tarot. It's pretty uncommon for people to break the rules of tarot. Tarot itself is very different from oracle cards in that it's structured. It has a rule. I mean, even just going from pages to princesses is kind of a stretch for most true traditionalists for tarot. But what she did was she recreated the deck. She recreated all of it, even the way in the minor arcana, the numbers, and how there isn't really necessarily a page or a queen. I think there is a queen and a king, but none of the other things. The rest are all like aspects of self and consciousness. Okay, Sue, have a great rest of your day. Love you. I know you have so much going on. Let me find another. And Shauna. Oh, I must have missed something. Anyway, so it is a great deck. If you haven't done much tarot, yet, then I would strongly, and you're interested in tarot, if you feel any connection to this is a great one to take on. It will teach you, but you will not be doing traditional tarot. But look at how drawn do you feel to that, right? Or that. Her work is outstanding. Okay, so this one is for Kristen. Oh, I love this card. Okay, and so in her major, this is her major arcana. And the majors are all essentially they're like those core lessons that we have to learn and go through in our lives. They are more than just a experience. It's a deeper understanding of the way and the nature of that aspect of humanity. Each of the major arcanas represent those things. So this one is the journey. This is the one that you pulled, Kristen, and you definitely are about to embark on a huge journey into the self, into the depths of your consciousness, into all that you've came here to be. I'm so excited for you. Now, she's a pretty prolific author, especially in this as well, so I'm not going to read all of it, but again, I can post this and take a picture from the book of the text so that you can read all of it. The journey, keywords, experience, character, the past, cause and effect, consequence, conditioning, environment, external influences, providence. Key phrases. You are created by your experiences. Your character is shaped by your past. How does your past influence you? Are you reliving your past in the present? Smile over the good and make peace with the bad. Choose quality experiences. Act with reason and purpose. Avoid involvement in unwanted conflict. Create happy memories. Learn from your journey. Don't make your truths a prison. This day is yours to shape. The Journey card represents the first of the 8 influence cards. Your life journey, your past, is made up of choices, experiences, and moments that have shaped and created the person that you are in the present. You are the sum total of all that you have experienced, and your journey and the person it has manifested plays a foundational role in every choice and decision that you make. Your journey has influenced your personality and character. I'm going to bring this forward so you can really see some of the symbolism there. You've been shaped by your successes and failures. If you look back at your life, you will see that you've moved through from one moment and experience to the next. You've faced obstacles and overcome them. The journey card represents the life that you have led and will lead, and how it has shaped you, changed you, and created you, and influenced every choice you will ever make. The big thing about the journey card, when this comes up, one of the things that we tend to get stuck in our linear thinking is in the terms of a destination. And I actually was just talking with somebody about this. There is no destination of a happy life. There's no such thing. You're never going to find that place, because it's a journey, and it's the steps, it's the process. You're never going to get to a completion of that, because you're living and you're always going to be slipping in and out of. So the journey itself is what we have to embrace. The parts that take us in the dark forests, as much as the parts that take us into the bright sun. We have to find ways to be grateful for every aspect of the journey, because for every hill that we climb, that is a slope that we get to roll down, right? So allowing all of these parts to be a part of the journey. In this journey, she also has, there's a butterfly, down at the bottom corner. It's a dark butterfly with light, golden light coming out of it. Butterflies representing the transition or transmutation, allowing yourself to go into that cocoon and come out of the chrysalis in a new transformed body. And she's holding a lit staff on the side of the darkness. Staff is about transmutation of energy and taking the tradition, what's been grown, what's been cultivated over time in the tree, now turning it into a tool that you can light, you can carry, you can whack, right? And turning it into something that's useful to guide her through the darker spaces. So finding a way to turn your greatest weaknesses into your superpowers is for me the whole journey. I remember I was working with a group of this was first and second graders, and I used to teach knitting and spinning and all kinds of stuff at Foss's school. There's a lot of parent-driven activities, and I was an at-home mom, so I felt like, I'm a teacher. I can come in. I can help. So we were all sitting around, and I love working with kids, especially at that age and when they're not mine, because it allows you to see, they speak from a really true place. They don't, they're not worried as much about how to handle or manage your emotions. They're just speaking their truths, which I find really refreshing. So anyway, I was talking with them, and they all were playing this game, and it was called an opposites game. So they were saying to each other, "Oh, I hate." How did they start? We were knitting, so they were saying, "Oh, I hate that," but they meant, "Oh, I really love that." This is the opposite game. And I was like, "Oh, that doesn't feel very good." And they all giggled, and they said, "No, it's the game. It's the game that we're playing. We're playing opposites." And so they kept going on about how they hated each other's work. And then at one point, one of them said to another one, "I hate you." And I was like, okay, you guys, seriously, this feels so awful to me. Like, this feels so bad. This makes me want to cry. And I asked the person that the one had just said it to, I said, even though you know that person doesn't mean what they're saying, that they don't mean that they hate you, that they mean that they love you, when you hear them say, "I hate you," how does that feel? Does it feel good to you? Or do you have that pang of like, and then you have to translate it into, "Oh, okay," and so then what came out of that conversation was these, by the way, were all first and second graders. So we're talking 7, 8, 9. all of them, I asked if they could all say something that they liked about each other. And as they complimented each other, the ones that were being complimented would negate the compliment. They'd find something that they didn't like. And then they revealed that they actually didn't like themselves. There was only one child in the group of 8 that liked themselves, that was comfortable saying, I love me, I love myself, I love my freckles. And she was the oddest looking, she was the oddest behaving of the group. She was kind of the loner in the group. She was one of my favorites because she just blew your mind. You never knew what she was going to talk about, and she's clearly one of us as children, you know. But she was the oddest one there, and she was the only one who could say, well, but I do love myself. And all the rest of them were kind of blown away by this. And so we had a whole conversation about how do you take those parts of yourself that you feel like are your greatest weaknesses, that you feel like your greatest shames. If anybody were to know or see that part of you, can you take that and turn it into your superpower? And the kids were like, well, like, what do you mean? And I said, well, for instance, in my life, the story in my life was that I was broken. I was broken, and that I was too sensitive and too emotional to be stable and to be a strong person, and that I took on too much of other people and their things, and that I had experienced too much trauma, and so I was broken. That was my story growing up. And the kids all looked at me like, they don't see me as broken. They certainly don't see me as unstable. I'm sitting here teaching them knitting, and I'm the most patient person they've experienced doing that ever. So they're like, what? And I said, well, that used to be my story. But then I decided, what if my sensitivity, what if my ability to be compassionate, what if my ability to hold for so many others and to still be here through all of what I've been through is not my greatest weakness, but actually my superpower? What if I told you my superpower is that I can feel exactly what you're feeling? Isn't that kind of a cool superpower? And they're all like, oh, yes, that's so cool. And I said, so if you start to cry and I start to cry, don't you feel like you're being cried with? They're like, oh my God. And one of the girls there asked if I would come and tell that to her church. And I said, no, honey, I want you to tell it to your church. I want you to go and you to share what worked for you in that. And you tell them in your church about that. So we're on a journey, and it's up to us if we want to decide that staff of all that we've experienced, the grown history of who we are, is a burden that we have to carry, or if it's a torch that we get to burn and light the way with. We're not committed to keeping the whole thing either, right? We're willing to let it go too. So the journey is one of my favorite cards because of that. Okay, and it's also a card that you don't find in normal tarot. So we're, let's see, we've got about 20 minutes left, and I wanted to kind of round out, not round out, but, kind of continue the conversation of last week. I do think that learning how to harness our manifestation powers, really understanding what's going on when we're seeking something, that we want to manifest something. Oftentimes for myself, I'm not inspired to seek out and manifest anything until it shows up. So I'm a very a flow, an allowance kind of a person. I tend to just what comes to me, that's what I'm working with. If somebody shows up in my life and they have some amazing skill or talent, and it inspires me to do something else, I find a way for us to work together and to do that thing. And I jump on it and I seize opportunities. So that's a huge part of what keeps the flow of manifestation going. However, we have two separate motivating factors that are at play in manifestation. We have the conscious motivating factors, which are things that we desire. And oftentimes, for many people, they find those are the things they struggle to manifest. And then there's the unconscious motivators. And those are the things that we don't desire and all too often find ourselves manifesting frequently. So my goal here is to attempt to see if with a collective of people, by keeping our focus on bringing into the conscious what the unconscious motivators are, and creating a subconscious current around what our conscious motivators are, if we can do that and we can harness our manifestation powers and come more into conscious manifestation through a back door. So I'm using this group as a play, right? One of the things that I love about it is that we can play this way. So I want you guys, we're gonna, let's see, we've got, is that long enough? 19. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna take this last bit of time of the show and we're gonna play with looking more closely, learning how to see what we hide from ourselves in our manifestations, the subconscious motivators. They're very well hidden. So take a moment and drop into the self again, bringing in with the breath. Coming all the way into the center of the self. Feeling the roots really dropping down, letting those roots drop all the way down and out as you invite Gaia to come up into the vessel. Inviting her not just into the whole of you, but into every cell and into even the space between the cells, allowing complete reprogramming and alignment to source, to our frequency of showing up. Releasing as we go and bring the energy up through the parts of us that block ourselves from feeling the pleasure of being in the creation, feeling the joy of it. Bringing it up through those ankles and calves and shins. Bringing it up into the knees where we really block ourselves from taking the steps that the path is showing us, that the journey is revealing. And bringing it up, inviting Gaia in to our moving muscles, the strength of us, our thighs, our butts, right? Those big muscle groups that just move us. Bringing it up through the seat and the hips and that pelvic floor, just holding us inside in this body. Up through those hips that take so much fear and burden of how are we going to make this work? How are we going to move forward? Can I make that next step? Can I jump far enough? Bringing it up through the abdomen. How safe am I here doing what I'm doing? Am I held? Am I loved? Bringing it up through that solar plex and intestinal space. Am I creative enough? Inventive enough? Will I have what I need? Will I find my role? Good. Bringing it up through that solar plex. Am I strong enough? Powerful enough? Can I be me? Do I dare? Bring it up through the diaphragm into the heart and lungs. can I love what I've made, no matter what it looks like? Can I love myself and the life that I've created? Can I forgive myself from separating away from the whole, from creating a life of hard things to endure? Breathing that in, sending that out through the arms, all the way through the palms and fingertips. Good. Bringing it into the shoulders, and the back. Can I bear the weight of the life I've built, the responsibility? Can I release it when I'm done with my part of that work, of that building? Can I speak my truth as the project unfolds, as the journey unfolds? Am I still safe to speak? Do I need to hold more? Do I need to just tone and resonate? Am I capable of that? Bringing that energy up through the head, where we store so many things we don't understand, we get trapped in the processes of. Some good release there, guys. Up in the head. Can I trust what I see? Can I speak what I see? Am I interpreting it correctly? So much in the head. Have I closed my eye? Do I not want to see? Can I let myself see? Up into the crown. Feeling in that crown space. Opening up that crown, feeling that source energy shining down on the crown as you ask, can I trust and receive from source all that I need? Feeling that source energy as we invite source consciousness, the whole collective self of our creation, of our system, inviting that frequency down. There it comes. And when we work with all source energy, we just flow it. It already has divine intelligence. Just feel that liquid honey gold or whatever color or feeling it has for you. Pour down. Dry hair's done. Pour down through the body. Filling every space all the way through. If you feel like you need more, just open up that tap of source, allowing more to flow through. Feel it flowing down through the shoulders and through that abdomen space. Filling up the heart. Make sure you move if you feel guided to. Adjust, straighten, realign. Now, I want you to imagine that in front of you is a screen. And I want you to just play through the week last week as though you're watching a documentary that was made about your week. From an objective, outside perspective. Don't get sucked into any story. If If you feel yourself trying to justify or validate, remember you're sitting back in the chair watching the production. It's all done. You're just receiving. Observe yourself taking time, setting your intentions, or avoiding the time to set your intentions. Observe yourself as you were acting with the intentional space in the present moment, and observe as you slipped out of the present moment and were now reacting and interacting from a triggered state, from a different perspective than your wholest of selves. Just observe these exchanges and interplays with the self and with other selves, those surrounding you. Notice the parts where you struggled the most as you're observing. The parts that you want to engage in, the parts that you have a desire to shift or change, or to turn away from and not observe, to skip over. Just notice it and replay those parts over again, observing the self's reaction and response to observing the situation. And observe how the behavior changed after the response. So you've had a situation occur, it engages you, you're acting now in a reactive space. Continue watching until you see yourself slip back into the present space. Just observing what happened in order to get you back into the present space. What worked? Was it a reminder? Was it a stone? Was it a person? Was it an intention that you've set for yourself? A reminder in yourself? What's working for you to bring you back into the present moment? Nobody else can tell you exactly what the tools are that are going to work best. You can only learn that from yourself. So take this time in this space to see what actually does work for you and what doesn't. To be able to come present. Reobserve the situations that are triggering and ask yourself things like, did I have to stay in this situation? Could I have chosen a different way of interacting within the situation? Can I view this from the other's perspective? Does that help me to understand the primary motivation? What was I feeling and thinking? Or was I not feeling, not thinking? Be brave when asking yourself these questions and examining yourself in this way, because you're actually getting to discover yourself, these tender parts. You're welcome, Wendy. Thank you, guys. Go ahead and stay in the space of self-examination for as long as you choose. Remember, when we're doing energy work, we're not trying to fix anything. We're not trying to heal anything. Everything is already perfectly perfect, exactly the way that it is. What we're trying to do is understand and experience the wholeness of every situation. By experiencing it in its wholeness, we store nothing in the vessel. So there's no reason for the vessel to have any sort of illness or disease or trauma, because it's not trying to hold and recreate a memory. It's allowing you to slip further down the stream without trying to tether you back and hold you back. This is the whole point of this expression, in my opinion, is learning how to unhook the tethers so that we can flow and have a totality of experience that we would rob ourselves of by our beliefs, our fears, and our senses of lack and inability. I hope this helps. I love you guys, and I'll see you here tomorrow. We'll work more on this.